Oggi abbiamo un ospite molto importante, Mario Andretti, una leggenda della Formula 1. Non solo un campione del mondo di Formula 1, è stato anche un pilota della Ferrari. Non ha vinto un mondiale, ma ha fatto la pole position storica a Monza nell'82, ha pure vinto nel 71 con la Ferrari. And I'm very glad to do this interview with you. I studied a lot because, as you can see, I've read this book to learn a lot on you. It has been very long, but I'm finally ready to interview you and have many questions.
Fantastico, Noah. Prima di tutto, prima di continuare in inglese, volevo spiegarmi in italiano perché è stata scelta l'intervista in inglese. La mia pubblicista, Patty Reed, che riceve tutte le richieste, ha guardato altre interviste che tu hai fatto e lei è rimasta talmente impressionata che è veramente innamorata con te e dice che vuole questa intervista in inglese perché non capisce una parola in italiano e vuol godere questa intervista in inglese. Così andiamo avanti così e, almeno volevo spiegarmi. Ma tu sei bravissimo, quante lingue parli? Almeno una dodicesima, no? 12? Parli inglese, italiano.
Infatti dopo ne parliamo di questo. Comunque grazie mille sempre. Ovviamente questa intervista la farò in inglese. Mi piace molto di quello che mi hai appena raccontato.
Avanti, adesso è tutto tu.
You have won in almost every category of motorsport. What has been the defeat that taught you the most, even more than a victory?
Well, to me, I have to go back as far as where I really fell in love with the sport. There's nothing that can substitute victory, if I understand the question.
He said, what is your defeat?
But the defeat is obviously when you don't win a race that's so important and it's been at your in your control, but then you have a mechanical situation. I give you an example. I've been so competitive, like in Indianapolis, for many races, leading, and then having prospect of winning, and then the car breaks down. Those are the big disappointments, and it's a call it a defeat, but it's not your fault. So that's the only way I can explain that.
If you could drive a current Formula 1 car for just one day, which one would you choose and why?
Well, at the moment, a Ferrari, for sure, because my relationship that I have with Ferrari, the fact that I even had the opportunity to drive my very last race in my career, in a Ferrari, so in Formula One, and the relationship that I had over the years, as you just mentioned, my first Formula One win in South Africa was Ferrari. I won several races in sports prototypes with Ferrari, and we maintained that relationship. I did directly with Enzo Ferrari, il commendatore. Allora, so you could see why I have this feeling.
You wouldn't want to drive.
Yes, of course, Ferrari for you has been a wonderful team because I'm not sure if you won your first race there, but it was for sure one of your first race wins. And so, of course, is a team that you will never forget. And connected to the answer that you give to me, my third question is what of your memories did you enjoy the most with Enzo Ferrari? How was the relationship?
The memories I have are very precious because I first met him personally in 1969 when I was doing the 1,000 kilometers in Monza with the Chris Amon as my partner, and I again, from there on, we maintained the relationship. And then when he gave me the opportunity to drive Formula One in 1971, after I won South Africa, and then 2 weeks later, I won a non-championship race here in America, the Equestro Grand Prix. And infatti Jackie Stewart è arrivato secondo per tutte le due manche, e lui mi ha invitato adesso, voleva invitarmi per essere la prima guida Formula 1, ma per via di me, because of my contracts, I could not accept. But the relationship continued, and along the way, there was never, whenever I was free, his seats were occupied, so we could never come together totally. And but as fate would have it, that after I was already 1 season out of Formula One, there was a tragic season for Ferrari with the loss of Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi. I was asked to substitute Pironi, Didier, in the last two races of the season, including Monza. And so he gave me that opportunity, and I embraced it. And as you can see, the memory of that is very, very precious to me because we were competitive, and we had I can tell you that we had a problem with a turbocharger on the left side with about 6 laps to go. But we would have won that race, and I finished third. I was on podium. So, but you can see that to answer your question about the relationship that I had with Enzo Ferrari was the fact that I dealt with him directly. I didn't have to, I had friends like Francolini and Dr. Gozzi who were, his, I would say, helping him, with other drivers. But I dealt with him directly, and I will hold that precious in my life forever.
You might know, but I interviewed Chris Amon's son, James Amon, and he did not speak about you, probably because I didn't ask him, but it's a good thing to hear, because in that years Chris Amon was a driver for Ferrari.
Yes, he was. And Chris Amon was very fast. He was really fantastic to be his teammate, because again, you knew that you had an opportunity to win. And again, I drove with him, I think it was twice with teammates, but I respected him tremendously. And he was, it's amazing that as good as he was so unlucky. He was so unlucky that he should have had so many more victories, even a championship. So he's one of those that actually, for whatever reason, was, he paid the price for the equipment actually failing him so many times when he could have won.
You lived in Lucca after the war. My grandparents live near there. What memories do you have of that time spent in Lucca?
I have, I'd say, very positive memories, even though we were in a refugee camp, Campo Profughi. Actually, we were, and if you're familiar with Lucca, inside the walls in Piazza del Collegio, near the church of San Frediano. And here in Lucca, we made some friends. They had an autorimessa just across the square, and they took us, my brother Aldo and Gemello, twin, to Monza in 1954 when we were at the age of 14. And that's when I saw the very first Formula One race in my life and watched my idol, Alberto Ascari, who was currently world champion. And he was my inspiration. And watching him race, and of course Fangio and Moss and Carl Kling and all the rest. But watching Ascari, firsthand, it just brought something to me that from there on, my dream began to become a racing driver. And
1954. Now,
1950,
it was.
you were not,
I
you were.
didn't know like that F1 at that time. F1 wasn't. I don't think it was that popular because even in Italy, I know they raced at Monza, but I did not know like that already in the 5th year of Formula One that. You would have watched the first race. I didn't expect that. I think like a little bit later.
But I can explain why, because Italy was very prominent in Formula One with Ferrari, Maserati, and Farina winning the first official Formula One race in Alfa Romeo. In fact, when I was testing Alfa Romeo Formula One in Balocco near Torino, I asked if I could drive Farina's car, which was in a museum. I drove Farina's car in Balocco, and I have pictures, and I had a fantastic time. So as you can see, those moments were important to me. But Formula One was already very prominent because we had the top drivers were world champion was Italian. So as you could see that it was probably as prominent in Italy as anywhere else, Formula One at the time.
In Suzuka 1976, there was the torrential rain, and according to Niki Lauda, during the driver briefing, everyone agreed to do only one lap and then retire the car. And that Lauda retired, and so did some other drivers, but you did not do that because indeed you won the race. Can you agree that that Lauda said this during the briefing, or it's not a thing that he said?
Well, there was, we asked this, by the way, the race was in Fuji, not Suzuka. In Fuji, that was very, yeah, well, it's okay.
I meant in Japan.
In Japan, yeah. Fuji, there was a very first Japanese Grand Prix. But yes, there was torrential rain. And we asked if they could delay the race for maybe 30 minutes or so. And they refused because they said it was on television and so forth. So we had to go. And Nicky, because he was his first race that he returned after his injuries at the Nürburgring, and his face, obviously received all the, the burns, and he had a problem, and he himself asked if we could possibly delay, but no one that I know pulled in after the start. He was the only one that did it, and he was very intelligent to do so because his eyes were tearing. He couldn't see. Besides the fact that it was a blind race at the beginning, anyway, nobody could see, but everybody soldiered on because there was a championship at stake and everything else. So, there was the race continued, and then it started drying up, from mid-race on. So, but it was a very difficult race at the beginning, no question, because there was a tremendous amount of aquaplaning, and so it was very difficult even to stay on the circuit, but these are the challenges that everyone had to deal with the same way. And again, it was a very satisfying race for me because, okay, you could say, oh, you were lucky in the race. No, I mean, I was on pole on the dry, and I won the race in the wet. So I felt very satisfied.